Welcome everyone, my name is F. Gary. I'm a designer, a Dutch designer. And what we've got here, it's a whole bunch of switches, mechanical switches for mechanical keyboards. Now, if switches had any value, then I would be a rich man, but I'm not because I spend my money in to buy the switches. And switches are more of a kind of a feeling that you get, and I'm gonna explain to you the different types of the different kinds of switches so that you can make a better choice, more informed choice for your own mechanical keyboards. Now, why is this important? What the hell are we talking about? Well, my perspective is, my vision is that in the old days, writers and important communications were done by pen, a fountain pen. But these days, we don't write each other letters or books with a fountain pen. We write our important stuff not by hand or pen when it is like long important letters and books. We write them on keyboards connected to a computer. Mechanical keyboards often are praised to be said the best experience for typing. So what is behind that? Behind the mechanical keyboard, of course, there is the keys, there's the keycaps, that's on top, and behind that is the actual switches. These are switches, and I have here a bunch of them, which I will go through. The actual stuff that records the key press that you press and then sends the shortcut signal via these two mechanical pins to the computer, and then you have here like a protrusion that secures the switch strongly in the metal base. So there are three different types of switches. We have the linear switches, which are very smooth. Then we have the tactile switches, which have a bump on the road, like boom, boom, boom. And then, as you can hear, the clicky switches. I'm gonna explain them one by one so that you have a better understanding of these switches, and then I will also tell you something about the variations that are out there in the world. These are a bit tight, which is actually a good thing because you don't want the keycaps to come off that easily. In the next videos, I will talk more about how to replace switches, or how to, if you have a keyboard, how to desolder the old switches and replace them by new ones. But this video is more about the three main types of switches, and I have them here in this, let's say, sample thing, box. So from left to right, we have the black switch, the red switch. These two are linear. Then these two are bumpy. They are called tactile switches, which is the white and the brown switch. And then here over the right, we have the clicky switches, which make a sound. Okay, first the linear switches, which are my personal favorite. They are very linear and smooth. There is no bump, there is no sound. They're just, you press them and it goes smoothly all the way until it hits the bottom and rocks and bottoms out, as they call it, bottom out. So I feel no indication of any anything that is along the way when I press it. So there is a perfect smooth all the way from start to end, and it's just a very, very satisfying, very happy feeling when I press this. It's beautiful. So these two are linear switches, and the only difference is that the black, it has a slightly heavier touch. It's a bit more, you feel your fingers a little bit more compared to the red, which is just a very, very easy feeling. Now the difference is very subtle, I believe. Like this is 45 grams actuation, and this is 60 grams, I believe. So the difference is very small, but it's still there over a long time. If you like type like page after page, the black is going to be a bit more sporty for your fingers. You feel like, you know, there is a force behind it, while the red is just so easy to hit. On the other side, if you type a lot, you might accidentally hit letters that you don't want to hit because it's just so smooth. So there is the positive and the negative of both. Is this is very lightweight, might get you accidental clicks, and the black is a more you really need to find it and press it, otherwise it will not just go down by itself. So these are the linear switches. Then we have the bumpy switches, or the tactile switches as they call them, where there is a slight difference in weight. So the white one is pretty strong and very bumpy, and the very famous and highly appraised brown switch, which is not my personal favorite. These two, the tactile switches, and this is the sound. Boom, boom. So it is like boom, and then bottoms out, and then up, and boom, and then so there is a shakiness there. Some people like it because it gives a feedback of when you're almost at the end. But I feel this is a bit exaggerated, and it's very fatiguing for my fingers. But some people love it. You know, they swear by tactiles, and they used to be very famous. Slowly, I believe they are becoming replaced by more linear switches, but some people really swear by them. And then finally we have the clicky switches. I believe these are the most annoying, but some people again love it, especially females and girls like the sound of it. Listen to it. Which is almost like shouts out like, "Hey, I'm here typing away." It's very, if somebody is sleeping next to these, there's gonna have a hell of a time getting it into sleep, because it just makes so much sound. But some people like the feedback they get because it actually tells you that the key is now pressed via a sound that it creates. So these are bumpy, just like the tactiles. The clicky ones have a bumpiness, just like these two, but also added to it is the sound of the clicky. So I can also feel. So if you give this to a deaf person, the difference is very. Yeah, I think they are same or very similar. Just these have an added sound, and the green is very hard to press, and the blue one is same feeling as the brown. So these two are very similar, and these two are very similar. These are very rare. If you want a green switch or a white, you have to really search for them. You will not come up these two in keyboards. So you either get a clicky blue one, the tactile brown ones, or the very famous linear red switches, which is often used by gamers because just so quickly it has a very quick actuation point. And the more for like old-fashioned typist who sometimes hesitate between a typewriter and a mechanical keyboard, then you can go all the way for the black. If you love the typewriter effect, which of course is much heavier than these linear switches, then you could be more satisfied with the black ones. So old-fashioned writers might choose the black, which is pretty nice. Then for gamers and light-handed people who don't want to get any hand fatigue, finger fatigue, go for the linear reds. And then you have the bumpy ones, people who like that there is a curvature in the travel line of the keys. And then for making a lot of sound are these. And now I will now I made a recent discovery that there is a These are Cherry, that's one of the original and most famous brands, but some people say that the keys by Gateron and Kyle and some other manufacturers have same or even better keys. So sometimes you would say the fake ones are worse than the original ones, but I've come in my understanding that sometimes the fake ones or the non-original ones can have a very, very high quality smooth, just like these Gateron yellow ones. And now you will say, hey, wait a minute, you didn't discuss those. Yeah, because these are pretty new. These have a 50 grams actuation point, I believe. So they are like somewhere in between the red and the black, but slightly more towards the red, because these are 45 grams, this 50, and then you have the 60 grams. So it sits like there somewhere, there, pretty close to the, and these have some other, these are oiled by the manufacturers, so these are very, very smooth, and I prefer these to the cherry red ones. And also, as you can see, they have like a milky, soft white housing, which will cause a spread of the LED that shines on them, so it will create a very nice soft RGB backlight effect. And then over here I have a black switch, which is also a linear. So these are linear. If I didn't mention, these are linear switches. And what else? Oh yeah, then we have here the very gamey, very easy to press linear switches. Now here is another one. This is a switch which is becoming very popular, and I have here a bunch of them that I took out from that keyboard, which I will cover in another video. I desoldered all these switches because I don't like them. These are linear speed switches, which are also original Cherry brand, and these speed switches are linear, but they have a shorter travel depth, and I find these not comfortable at all. I'm used to the longer travel how to say it, when you can press further down, and these speed ones, they bottom out. As you can see, they don't go in all the way. They bottom out pretty quickly. That way it registers the click earlier than when you go like all the way down. So if I exaggerated, if you go like down the with your finger, then the speed ones registered earlier, but the black and the red ones and the yellow ones, they go a bit further, and then the switch is registered. So for die-hard gamers, the speed gray switches are better performing. Quick, they register the click quick earlier. However, for typists and writers, I would not recommend the speedy switches, even though they are very famous and they are getting more and more market share. But I would not use them for die-hard writers. For die-hard writers, I recommend these ones, and these are the newest of the bunch. They're yellow switches, and otherwise the red ones are also marvelous. And then for the old-fashioned sporty type masters, the black ones, classic. So these are my personal recommendations for those who want to replace their old fountain pen with a digital way to write and to get the feeling of a fountain pen in your hands while writing your beautiful stories and essays. So that's my take on the switches on mechanical keyboards. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, you can always subscribe. And in the next video, I'm going to show how to desolder and explain about how I replaced these are old ones that I desoldered one by one. So these are second hand now. As you can see, there is still a bit of solder there. I'm going to replace all those which I took out of the keyboard and put these ones in the mechanical keyboard PCB plate. As you can see, there's the guts and rumble of that. That's in the next video. All right, so long. Cheers.